we're going to move on to, let's see, next up, a person who I'm assuming probably wants to talk about Seventh-day Adventist stuff. What's up?
Yes, sir, I do. It's an honor to talk to you. I really appreciate you, Jay.
Well, you don't really, but that's okay.
No, I really do. I respect your diligence and your work. I respect your work ethic. I just have some questions, like maybe two. I put a few I've written. I don't know if you've seen any that I wrote.
I saw that you made a lot of videos. I didn't watch the videos.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool. So a couple questions would be like, you'll say like, I think in Thessalonica, or I forget where it is, there's iconography in the churches.
The Dyer Europos synagogue.
Okay. You're saying the synagogue. I was thinking of some early churches that you were talking about, but
well, there are early churches that have that, but most of the time we make the argument that you can see early, contemporary with Christian synagogues in 2nd, 3rd century that have iconography.
All right. So then my point would be, Paul says, maybe 3 points here, and they're quick. So Paul says the mystery of lawlessness, it's translated iniquity, is already at work, 1st century. And so doesn't this prove a trend of apostasy away from the jot and tittle view?
Okay, let's take them one at a time. So my response to that would be, it doesn't follow from the fact that Paul's saying that the things that you're identifying as apostasy, such as imagery, is what Paul's talking about.
Well, let's not connect that. No, but that doesn't. We don't have to connect those. That's fine. But that doesn't. We don't have to get into that. I'm just as a general principle, he's saying, because it's translated sometimes as iniquity, but I'm saying it's also translated in some places as lawlessness. So he's saying the mystery of iniquity or lawlessness is already at work, and so. If what I would say is the mystery in some sense is that it's a law, and I'll maybe try to find some consensus. Could you agree that there is a law, at least among Jews, that enforced lawlessness? Would you agree to that? That there was, among 1st century Judaism, there was actually, to them, they called it law, that if you obeyed it, it mandated in certain ways that you would break God's law. Could we agree on that?
You mean like a state law that would break God's law, or a divine law?
No, it was Matthew 15. You know this, and I've heard you. Traditions of the elders, oral Torah, and Talmud is when it was written down. It was called Talmud. But at the time, it was patristic tradition of 1st century Judaism. Was the law? What I'm saying is a law of lawlessness. It's literally a law that mandates that men break with the law of God. But could you agree with that? It was called tradition.
Just make the argument that where are you going with this argument that icons are the mystery of lawlessness?
Don't even go.
The Sunday worship. The Sunday worship is the breaking of the law. That is the mystery of lawlessness. So first of all, do you think that the temple had icons in it?
I'm not even going there. I'm just trying to find a consensus of definition of, could we agree that there was what the Jews called the whole, they even to this day, you could go and see Jewish authorities, they call it, if you say the whole law of Moses, you're thinking, the written text. And they say, no, the written text is subsidiary and secondary, and the oral Torah is
I'm aware
primary.
of that. Correct. Yes.
So they're actually saying, if you were to go to a lecture, the oral portion would be what the Talmud is, and then the index cards or notes, if you go to the lectern, the index, those little note cards, that's the written text. So to them, the primacy is on the oral tradition.
I understand that, yes.
Okay, so when we get to Dositheus, he ends up saying, what I'm simply saying is there's an analog that is troublesome to me, is that in the Song of Solomon, the rabbis say there's a verse that says, thy mouth is sweeter than wine. And they say that this is the oral Torah from the readings of the rabbis is sweeter and more authoritative than the written text.
Okay, we don't make the argument that the Song of Solomon is talking about patristic oral tradition, so...
No, I'm trying to find a consensus. I'm saying that the rabbis in 1st century Judaism, the battle that was going, I'm trying to establish what was the 1st century battle. And the first century battle was with this law of lawlessness that literally mandated men to break God's law. But it was tradition, and it was patristic tradition. It was first century patristic tradition that was the traditional enemy of the apostolic faith.
No, I think that makes you a loon.
So then what?
It's all based on your faulty presupposition as to what you think the mystery of lawlessness is. So your argument is built on something that it's not, because that's your presupposition to prove your Seventh-day Adventism.
So don't call it the mystery of
lawlessness. Where do you get the canonical text that you're using to attack the church from?
I'm not going there. I'm just trying to find a consensus.
But I'm asking you to go there.
Well, first and foremost, I take the view that recognizing and compiling a inspired text is not proof of interpreting it, and the reason I would say that is
when was it recognized and collected?
Okay, can I know that you're going to say it wasn't for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years later, but
okay.
I know.
And you think you think that it's not that. So when was it? Where's your proof of that?
Well, my point would be that this, in the sovereign prerogative of God, he, in his own sovereign prerogative, didn't upload it all at once, and in his sovereign.
So begging the question, so there's not an actual historical account of what you're saying.
I don't necessarily believe. I don't believe that that's what, because like when the New Testament came out, certain cities were getting revelation before other cities, and everybody wasn't having it all at once. And what I'm saying is, it wasn't God's will. When Ephesus had a church dispute, or Corinth.
Yes. How is this addressing the canon? Where's the canon? When does it come to be?
There didn't need to. What I'm saying is that's not how it was. It wasn't God's prerogative. I'm not even sure that that's what God was concerned about, having a whole compiled text. Like, that's subsidiary. I'm talking, and that's not.
So would that be because, as a Seventh-day Adventist, you believe in Ellen White's ongoing charismatic revelation? Is that why?
I'm not a Seventh-day Adventist. I simply believe that there is based on Paul after the resurrection twice, Acts chapter 21. And 22, he says, I am a Jew. Jesus says salvation is of the Jews, John 4:22. So? Romans 2, he's talking about Gentiles. He's saying he is a Jew who is one inwardly a Jew. And then in Revelation
that means a Christian.
He doesn't say Christian.
That's what it means. The spiritual Israel in Galatians, at the end of Galatians, is the church of Galatia.
Okay, so what I would say is, before all that, in Jeremiah
Hold on.
31.
What is your position? So you're not going to get the right to say all the stuff and not disclose what your position is.
My position is that there is something called Way or Nazarene Judaism, and that what Jesus is battling over in the first century is who. Oh,
so you're a Messianic Jew. Is that right?
You could call it that, but my argument would be that that's a redundancy, in the sense that Judaism, why Judah? And it's because of Micah 5:2, behold, Bethlehem Ephratah, out of you will come forth for me a ruler over all Israel.
Are you anti-Trinitarian or not?
No, I'm not anti-Trinitarian.
Okay, so you're Trinitarian.
I definitely believe in Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. All the mechanics of it. I wouldn't get into all that. I would say that.
Well, wait a minute. Why don't you get into that? What do you mean?
Because you don't. If that was it, all I know is God can manifest as a burning bush. Okay, like God can manifest, and to me, like, that was a burning bush is dead.
Is Jesus the eternal? Is Jesus the eternal Son of God, or is he a creature?
I'm not Arian. He never did not exist. He always did exist. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm not going to be Arian. I like Constantine.
So the group that put the Bible together was the apostate mystery of lawlessness people, right?
I'm not. Look, all I'm going to say is that, because you went through your article too on church tradition.
Okay.
Tradition and church and church history. Mm-hmm.
Is your final authority the scriptures? What's your final authority?
The Spirit.
What is that?
The Holy Spirit. Without that, the scriptures are dead ink on paper.
Okay. How do we adjudicate between a bunch of different groups claiming to be led by the Spirit.
Okay, so and I get that, but there's some sort of issues that I would have with it. For instance, the oral. Would you agree?
Did Jesus? You're not answering. You're asking a two-quote question. Did Jesus give? You just asked me. I asked you a question, and you asked me a question. That's two quote questions.
Okay,
So
I'm asking you to clarify where we're going. Would you agree that what
let me put it this way: did Jesus leave the church any way to adjudicate between all the different heretics who claim to be led by the Spirit?
I believe it existed in the apostles.
How, between you and I, if we both believe that we're led by the Spirit, which is the thing that you appeal to as your final thing, how do we adjudicate between these two things? Because you said it's not the dead letter that's the final, it's not the Bible.
Technically, the church is, according to 1 Corinthians 6, supposed to act as a Beit Din, which is a house of judgment. And Paul's standard is they're not a wise
so the
man,
standard is
man
what?
to judge.
Your sect? That's the standard we go to your...
No, I'm going to, I believe in the church, but all I'm saying, brother,
What
is
church?
that from like
Where?
the collective, the body of believers everywhere.
Where is that? Well, you think we're part of the mystery of lawlessness, so this is your messianic sect. So your messianic sect is led by the Spirit, I'm sure, right? I know. So where do we adjudicate?
Bro, I value you. I appreciate you. I learn from you. I'm not sitting here saying I don't care about you.
Yeah, that's why you've got like 30 videos calling me out. That's a bunch of baloney. All right, this is not going anywhere, so we're going to move on. The architect, what's up? So I'm never going to get an answer as to what adjudicates between two people claiming to be led by the Spirit. My point then being that Jesus didn't even give to the church a mechanism to judge between 1,000 different loons claiming to be led by the Spirit. Did he not foresee that there would be... It seems like he did foresee that there would be some problems. And it seems like he said that the church would not fail and that the mystery of lawlessness would not be controlling the church since the first century. So, no, I don't think the mystery of lawlessness is what you think that it is.